Hi guys. Today we're learning our fourth and final quadratic formula type of answer. So far, we have learned that you can get two answers that are either whole numbers or fractions. You can get the same answer twice, which we only write once and we write dr for double root. And then yesterday we learned that you could get what's called an irrational answer, which is where you get a square root of a number that you don't know the square root of, and then you write decimals for your answers. Now, that's the only time where it's appropriate to write a decimal. So if you get a square root of a number that you know the square root of, then you have to write a whole number or a fraction. Today, we'll do the final type, and I'll go ahead and let us discover it as we're working. Just like all of our other problems, we're going to start this the same way that we have on every problem. It's not going to be anything weird or different, and it won't turn into a new type of answer until the very, very last step. So let's go ahead and try it. In this problem, I already have standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So let's identify our a, b, and c. My a is 3, my b is -1, and my c is also 3. All right, I hope that you've accidentally memorized the quadratic formula by now. If you've been following along with the videos and doing the homework every night, we're doing about 6 problems a day at least. So you should be getting proficient, I think, at the quadratic formula. So let's plug it in. So -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Notice the double negative at the beginning. That will turn into a positive on my next step. Don't forget, when you square a negative, it does turn into a positive, so this will also turn into a positive on the next step. This will stay a subtraction symbol, and I'll need to do what 4 times 3 times 3 is. And then I will also need to figure out what 2 times 3 is. So again, the double negative out here turned into a positive. -1 squared is +1. This is going to stay a subtraction sign, so we're minusing right here. 4 times 3 times 3 is 36, and 2 times 3 is 6. Next, I'm only doing one step of math, which is the 1 minus the 36. Now here's where we start using our calculator. So we usually use our calculator to tell if something is a perfect square or not, and to see, if we're going to get a nice whole number answer or a decimal answer, or when it was the square root of 0, we got 0 as our answer, and then we could get a double root for that radical. So let's go ahead and try this on our calculator. Now, one of the things that I need to tell you is that you need to make sure that you're using the negative button, which is down here, and not the minus button for a negative number. So when I want to type in a -35, I'm going to hit this white button below the number 3 for my negative sign, not the button over here, not the subtraction button. So I'm going to do the square root of -35. The square root of -35 equals, and I get an error. So the thing is, we can't take square roots of negatives, because the square root is asking, like, what number do I multiply by itself to turn it into a -35? But to get a negative answer to a multiplication problem, you have to have a positive and a negative. You can't multiply a number by itself and get a negative answer. A positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative is also a positive. So it is not possible in the real world to get the square root of a negative number. So at this point in time, if you get a negative underneath the square root sign, you're going to stop what you're doing, and you're going to tell me that this has no solutions. A better answer would be no real solutions, and you'll learn why when you get to Algebra 2 class. But for right now, no solution is fine. So you're going to do all of this work, and then when you get here, if the number under the square root sign is a negative number, then your final answer is that there is no solution to this problem. Now, in tonight's homework, they are not all no solutions, so don't just write no solution for everything. Tonight's homework actually has a really great review of the 4 different types of quadratic formula that we learned. So be on the lookout for all 4 types. Whole numbers and fractions, a double root, a decimal answer, and no solution. That concludes today's video.